Do you want me to find you a chair?
No, because it's going to take longer.
I'm
burning calories right now.
I'll just run out.
I haven't even ate today.
Yeah.
I got a big chicken in there. It's probably cold.
Yeah, I was actually going to use that in this pod. It's rolling, right?
Yeah.
Are all the cameras recording?
These two are. I don't know if that one is.
It is.
It is.
Okay. All right, here we go. We already started. It's 2 for Chirping with Brandon Yeamans, if you didn't already realize that. I don't even know when this pod is actually going to start because we've been now recording for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of water, not much. Today we're kind of low on budget. Courtney just laughed off camera, so thanks for ruining the shoot here. But no, it's okay. It's all right. I'm sorry that I had to get a little hasty. You hungry? You want a McChicken?
We got a McChicken here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Can you, if you eat a McChicken, do you eat McChickens? Would you eat that?
Yeah.
Would you eat one on camera?
I mean, no. Then we get criticized for my chewing or something.
Sorry, I have
no
right
free
now.
ads.
I've got a lifesaver in. Did you keep that or did you toss it?
I don't need to be sucking on that thing right now. I'd be bringing all over the
It's
place.
kind of weird that you said that.
There's no shot that is going in here.
This will be saved for the bloopers only edition because there's a lot of content from early in the year from bloopers only.
You at least gotta get the laugh in.
Oh yeah.
Where he says there's no way you're keeping that in there.
Oh yeah.
So people are like, what was he talking about?
What was he talking about?
You know, it's interesting. This took a little while to set up. What do you think of the new lights?
I didn't even notice they were new, but I like them.
Well, like the new color.
I like
Those
them.
are the same lights. They're
Weren't
just
they?
different.
They're white before.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. You might have to cut that too.
There's a lot of
Might.
cutting going on.
There's
Just
a
maybe.
cutter.
Cutsy.
First and the last player ones of the year are going to be involving the most work from me because the first one of the year, man, I think we probably recorded like an hour and a half, and I think it ended up being like 55 minutes.
Yeah, we did one with whose name we can't say anymore. Yeah. And so that part you can keep since I said whose name you can't say anymore. But it was literally, we recorded an hour and a half and like 50 minutes got used.
That's tough.
So.
Well, my first one we did, I don't even think we cut anything. It was just straight rolling, no jokes. We didn't have you cutting them though.
No, I wasn't here yet.
Yeah, no, that's
we
why.
got our boy Michael. Do you
Shout
remember
out
Michael
Michael.
Perdomo at all? Oh, wow. That's kind of cheese right there.
It's fine. I just iced my dad.
That's nice. There he goes.
Sorry,
he
Dad.
needs your help right now.
Sorry, Dad.
Like, we have that? That's recording. Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
We'll send that to you for your dad.
Thanks.
Okay, so trying to I don't even know where this pod's going to go, but that's kind of the beauty of this, right? Mm-hmm. So first, we wanted to do this because when you came back, I messaged you. I was like, hey, you're going to do X, Y, and Z, just so you know, because obviously our fan base is pretty excited, but I think for you, this is pretty awesome to be back here,
100%,
right?
yeah. I was really excited to come back. Obviously, I love the city, love the fan base. I've had some connections with the fans, and they've reached out, and they were showing how happy they were, and it's good to be back. I mean, having... I don't even know how many we get a night, but they're wild. It's loud. It's probably one of the best rinks to play, and I've played in the South. I've played in all of those different arenas, and Cincinnati just does it different.
I mean, you and I did, so we did a radio interview, so apologies in advance if I regurgitate some information, but for the people that didn't get a chance to listen to that, I do want to go over this whole saga. Because it is interesting, to get a guy, to trade a guy, and then pick him up later in the season. I just don't think that happens very often. Mm-hmm. So take me back to being traded. And by the way, and I'm just going to say this, and I may be wrong, and I want you to be honest with me because maybe I am. You've been back now for close to 2 weeks. By the time this podcast airs, it'll be about 3 weeks. But I feel like, I don't know if humble is the right word. You're a little different than you were the start of this season. And maybe that has to do with being frustrated at the time. Mm-hmm. Just call it for what it is, right? Yeah. It's a business. Frustrated with your spot in the lineup, traveling with the guys and not being in the lineup. It's why am I here at times? Mm-hmm. I know you were relentlessly looking at video, trying to find ways to show that you're trying to improve. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like by the time that you had ultimately been traded to Florida in that moment, which I believe was January, I feel like for you, it was almost like you needed it. You needed to get out. But do you feel different being back? Is humble the right word? Do you feel just happier?
I think I'm just grateful to be back. I just we have such a good room here, and obviously playing on a couple different teams, you see different dressing rooms, and nothing against the other teams I played for. They had good rooms too,
Yeah, of
but
course.
nothing kind of beats what we have here, and I said that from day one. We just have a really special group. Everyone's like tight. We all go out together. We hang out. Like that's the biggest thing is just how close everybody is, and there's no like bad blood between guys, which is really nice to have.
Yeah.
Obviously, playing hockey, you've been on bad teams, and it's just really tough and toxic to be in the room, and having it here where like everyone's wanting the best for each other says a lot. And like I think that's something that you need to go far in a playoff run and have something special.
I think too, like you said, it's not like, and I'm not trying to get you to say anything negative because, like, to your point, I mean, there's no slate against Jacksonville and Florida, the two teams you played for. Heck, they're both going to the playoffs too, so they're good teams, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it also helped here, though, that you had the head start of being with this organization for, basically half of last season. So to go from that to being a new kid on the block in Florida, you're there for what, a handful of weeks?
Yeah, it wasn't very long. And then Jax, I was there for quite a bit. Over two and a half.
That's what I was about to say. It was a
2.5
while.
months, but Florida was just different environment. I mean, you're in the South, so a lot of guys want to go play there just because of you're going to the rink in shorts every day. It's a pretty good life down there, not gonna lie. But it didn't feel like Cincy, and I'd always talk about like I got close with every team I was on. I had a couple guys that you gravitate towards, and they'd always ask about Cincinnati, and they're like, "Oh, I heard it's a great spot to play," and like they'd be like, "Where would you rank it?" And I'd be like, "Honestly, like I'd rank it on the 3 teams I've played number 1. Like I love Cincy," and they would just be like, "Oh, that's crazy," but like you're going to the rink, it's cold at times. I'm like, yeah, but like I don't know, it's just a different environment. Like the fan base in Cincinnati is like incredible. The support you get. It's just Cincinnati's like it seems like a hockey town, and I know I've only played on a couple teams, and really this is my first full season. But it's good to be back.
Were you wearing a Jags hat?
No.
No? Didn't convert.
Didn't convert.
Okay.
I always had the Bengal hat. I had obviously some Bengal gear, and the boys would all chirp me about that. They cut ties with that place. I was like, I don't know. I like a football team. Let's stick with it. I mean, my dad was a Washington fan from when I was a little kid, so Washington is still one of my favorite teams just because it was in the family. But being down here and experiencing like the Super Bowl last year, and it was just crazy. So I became a Bengal fan. Yeah,
that was a wild first year. I mean, there were a lot of guys that were in their first years last year in Cincinnati. Me too. Like I remember, I was like, dude, the second they who they eliminated was the Chiefs to go on to play LA. I remember like fireworks immediately going off. Like everywhere around our apartments and stuff. And I mean, it's just so cool, especially how like you talk about like our fans. I think Cincinnati fans in general, like they're not that different from like where I grew up in Philly, where if you are a good team and you reward your fans with that, they reward you with support. Like it's a two-way street, right?
100%.
Because, call it for what it is. Don't get me wrong, I like going to Reds games, but the fans are obviously not happy with the product there. But when you give them a winning team, like the Cyclones have, that's why you see 8, 9, 10, sometimes more than 10,000 people in our building.
Yeah.
Do you think, and again, I'll use another word like vulnerable, did you feel at all that way down there too? Like, hey, there's like the coach doesn't know me, like anything could happen. I'm coming in as a slow guy on the totem pole, new kid.
Yeah. My biggest thing is like I found it benefited me having to be consistent and never taking anything for granted in that sense. Not to say that I did that here or anything like that. It's just, it's different. Like you always have to prove yourself, and having that mentality I think goes a long way. And that's something that I'll use, like happened early enough in my career where, I mean, I was used to Cincinnati from last year, and then this year I never really knew what it felt like to be traded. Even in junior, like when I got traded my overage year, I chose where I wanted to go and when I wanted to go. It was like right before playoffs, my team wasn't making it, and they're like, where do you want to go? And I was like, I want to go to North York. Okay, no problem. Deal's done. So it wasn't really abrupt, and it was unexpected. Where here it was like I didn't expect to get traded, and then I got traded, and I was like, okay. I went home, was there for one night, then I had to fly out to Florida, and it's like a whole new team, didn't really know anybody, and I had to like make another name for myself. And I think that goes a long way as well too, just having to be able to adapt and and hold yourself accountable. I don't know. I take everything as like everything happens for a reason in that sense, and to have that, it was like okay. And then being released from Florida because they got guys back, and it was just like a bad situation. I was like, oh my god, like I'm just hopping from team to team, but I kept getting picked up. So that was something that I was like, this is good. It like
it is.
It almost it did humble me in the sense of knowing that like okay, you're good enough to play in the league and you're gonna keep getting picked up. Like I got picked up by Florida, which was a top team at the time, and then Jax was higher than Florida, I believe, at that time. So I just kept getting picked up by like a top 5 team in the league, and I was like, okay, like learning different cultures, learning different environments, and like having to adjust and like change my game to whatever they needed that night, I think goes a long way as well. But it was just a crazy couple months, but yeah.
What about so you said like you did not expect to get traded
No.
from Cincinnati.
No.
How was that day?
It was tough. I mean, Painter and I, like, we never burned a bridge, like we spoke about in our podcast, our
Broadcast interview.
Broadcast, yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so we talked about it.
Fireside chat.
Yeah. No, like, Painter called me, and I was just really, I guess, lost for words. We didn't really exchange anything, really. I was just, like, in shock. He said, you're going to Florida? I was like, okay. Sounds good. When do I have to get out of here? So I ended up leaving basically the next morning, like first thing. Then I was home for like not even 24 hours. I was hopping on a plane going to Florida, and I was like, this is just crazy. Like it didn't really set in until I got down there. I'm like, wow, this is a different team, like different environment.
Emotional?
Yeah. I don't really know if like what the word would be. It was just like I got home and I was like, what's going on? Like, this is crazy. Yeah. And then having to pick up everything and leave, I guess, was the hardest part. It was just unexpected, like packing my car up, leaving my roommate. Like, Sean and I are really good buddies. We grew up together, so that was tough. Like, having everything, especially because I drove down to Cincy, so I had, like, I was comfortable. Like, it felt like home. Yeah. And then having to pack up and have to jump on a plane with, like, barely anything and start fresh, it was just, like, it was good, I guess, for me to have to go through that in my life and my career and, like, learn to deal with that adversity and build off that and, like, make you a better person, player, whatever you want to call it. But, like, it was crazy. Yeah.
Well, what happened then with your car? Because you said you took a plane to Florida, but your car was in Cincinnati.
No, I drove home to Toronto that morning. And then
you flew from Toronto to Florida?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I see.
And then, like, I had a lot of stuff here, too, so I had to pack light to go to Florida. Yeah. And then, obviously, when I went to Jax, I just ended up flying. It was like a 45-hour flight. It wasn't long.
It's amazing. It's amazing, though, like, in a short time period, because it really was. I think when you got traded here, you had played 13 games with the Cyclones. Yeah. It was 13 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Last year, you played 30 in the regular season. But in that, like, short span of time, there was so much fanfare for you. Like, I remember, I can't remember the promotional jersey, but, like, you beat out Viver last year for one of your jersey auctions. I was like, how did this happen? Because Sean came up to me as like, wow, we had a jersey sell for, I think he said it was like $2,400 that night. I was like, who, Viver?
Send me that.
And he's like, Brandon Yeamans. I'm like, what? Yeah. And not a slight on you. No, it's just like, dude, you beat out Viver. Yeah, like
it's crazy.
And then I remember seeing this was pretty recent from the time you had gone from Jax to us, but like I think one of your last couple of games in Jacksonville, we had Cyclones fans fly out to Jacksonville. Just like they don't like the Iceman. They just wanted to watch you play.
Yeah, that was cool. I was in warm up and I don't know, I look around sometimes.
Yeah, I think everyone does.
Everyone does. And I seen a Cincinnati jersey. I was like, what the heck? And I look over and it was my jersey. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And then there was like a sign. So like I'm doing laps in warm up and I don't want to stop and read it. So like I kept turning right. I was like, I got to look at this. And I look over and I read it and it was like, we flew out from Cincinnati to see you. Any chance we can get a puck? I was like, yeah, 100%. So next time around, I like grabbed the puck, I flipped it over. And then I was hoping they would be there in the game because I had some sticks in the room that were broken. I was like, oh, I'll send it out to them. But couldn't find them. And then I got tagged on Facebook about that as well,
Yeah.
saying that they're down there. My parents saw it, and they're like, "That's crazy. Like, why didn't you, like, did you get to see them?" I was like, "No, like, I didn't know where they went after. I guess they just came down for the seats in warm up, and then they were gone." But that was cool. That was surreal, actually, seeing my jersey in Jack's. I was like, wow. I got a couple laughs from that, and I had to throw money on the board in Jack's as well, because they're like, "How's the fans coming from Cincy for you?" I was like, I don't know, maybe vacation.
Maybe vacay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, just so you know this, and it's not like I've been around long, but I've seen enough hockey games where, especially for a guy who, by the way, Braden, or anybody, I hate to interrupt this own comment. If anybody's worried about my Mac, because it sounds like it's on fire right now, that's just normal. I don't know if anybody here has a Mac, but like at some point,
it is normal.
Yeah, this sound, like, it's ridiculous. Got a little air conditioner going on here.
The cooler.
Braden, you wouldn't know because your computer is absolutely horrific.
My computer is something, to say the least.
You have an Acer. Has anybody here heard of an Acer computer?
I have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Where did you find that? Like, it was like $25, I assume, somewhere? Or
Five below.
Five below.
Oh gosh. My uncle works for UC. I got it like 5 years ago. Went to a micro center around here and actually paid a hefty price for it. It's been useful for the entire time I've had it, but definitely some signs of wear I think showing
Does
up
it make
over
the
the
noise that his Mac
last few months.
makes?
No, it doesn't actually.
No? That's a credit, but like at the end of the day, the Macs are so good.
Fair.
You know?
Never been an Apple guy. Always have Android phones too. Samsung. All my friends chirp me
hate
about
that.
it.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough look.
I'm 0 for 2 on my Cyclones interns for Androids, and because both of you have had it, and also terrible computers. Like, not the last one. Shout out to Michael, former producer on the pod. I know I'm getting off on a side note here. But
I don't know where you're going.
Quick note.
Go for it.
Quick note. This guy's laptop, again, Michael, great guy, awesome person. Hope you're doing well. But computer and your computer just as bad. And hopefully mine didn't just crash. You want to look? Is it still recording?
Still recording for now, but I'm expecting it to go here in about 3 minutes, just
No.
as karma.
Yeah.
You have a what?
I have an iPhone and
Okay. Yeah, you want to intern next year?
Trying to steal my job here with
I'm
like
actually trying to-
2 months to go.
Thank you for
No.
offering now.
You don't need a full-time job.
It's too late.
You just need to help my career. You know, this is a me moment right now. Let me have it. Okay, back to the pod. Sorry, I need to make. You want to make chicken?
No. This isn't getting cut either. We're keeping all this.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
that's part of
This
it.
is good content.
This is good content.
Top notch, even with Courtney chiming in from the other side. There.
Yeah, you're gonna have to like
Can we
really
hear a mic?
Hear her
just
offhandedly.
quick
Yeah.
little stick mic. Just put it in here. No, what I did want to say, I hope your dad knows this, your parents, your family, and you, is from what I have seen in hockey. I mean, yeah, if a guy in the NHL gets traded to a team that like he had previously been with for like 10 years or whatever, it's normal to wear his jersey still, you know? If it, like for my example, like I think if Claude Giroux saw Philadelphia Flyers Claude Giroux jerseys in Ottawa, like he'd be like, okay, you know, because he was there for 14 years. For the fan support that you have had, like I really hope you know that is special. Like that is not something that happens. Like you obviously had to have done something to like catch them.
Yeah, I obviously appreciate their support, and like
Yeah.
that's why I always just try to take time to talk to fans, because at one point I was a little kid and supporting and going to games and just trying to. We're keeping that too. I mean,
You are ruining this emotional moment right now.
but no, I do appreciate their support, and I always just try to show my gratitude towards them for that. Is he trying to throw them to me? Like,
We were talking if we were going to do headphones or not for this.
yeah, that's his way. His cue. Just throws them on the floor. I'm
Put
like,
the headphones on. Did we do headphones last time?
no, never. We
Okay.
always did the mic, because you said I spoke loud enough. Like, you never shut up. So we're gonna go mic.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're good. Okay, so on a like serious note, we were talking about the fans and like what you've, like you always show your gratitude there, which I think is awesome. And you approached me. Again, I would hope this family doesn't mind, and I think it's a great story that's worth being told. I don't know if you want to maybe lead in a little bit, but we had the chance for you to meet with a young girl after a game and her family, and you know, I got a chance to kind of be a fly on the wall and just stand in the background, and like you could see how much it means to them.
Yeah,
That's pretty
100%.
awesome.
I saw on Facebook just her story, and I wanted to obviously do something just because one of the things on the bucket list were going out to a hockey game.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, like, what can I do to help out? And I saw like a lot of other fans and stuff had their own outreach, and we're trying to help achieve some stuff on the list. And I was like, reached out to see if they wanted to come to a game. Obviously, you helped me out with that, getting some tickets set up and a little bit of like a promotional items and stuff for Arlen and her sister. And then I met with them, and it was just really nice to be able to connect with fans like that.
Yeah.
And obviously you can see their gratitude, and it's just all part of the game. Like, it's tough what they're going through. Could never imagine that.
Yeah.
And for me to do what I can, I mean, I know it goes a long way, and I even asked if I can grab one of the shirts that they have, and I'll get all the guys to sign it. And I'm sure I think you were saying other fans reached out.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out for a playoff game, and we're going to get that signed and hand it back to them. They have a suite as well for a game, I believe.
Yeah, they do.
So that'll be good. It was just really nice to meet them, and I'm obviously going to keep in touch and do everything I can if there's anything I can do.
Yeah. So Arlen, right?
Arlen, yeah.
Arlen's, for those that don't know, it's in a lot of places on social media now, but 10-year-old girl who's dealing with a brain tumor, and reached out and you know, you first, like, again, this is not like I was physically there, but this is all you. Like, you reached out to me. You were like, hey, these people tagged me. Like, I want to talk to them. I want to make something happen. And again, that's just like, man, you know it from, and you and I have seen each other now over the last year plus here. Like, you know, there's community events, there's school visits, there's hospital visits, there's things that, like, the reality of a pro hockey player's schedule is it's more than just playing games 3 times a week. You're at the rink 6 out of 7 days usually. You're practicing even on a day that's an off day. Guys are here getting treatments and stuff. So you sort of have that rink rat lifestyle where you never get away. And I think the hard part for me is sometimes getting guys to, you know, do the extra things because everyone's busy. So the fact that you reached out to me and basically are like, I don't care. Like, I will always have time to do that kind of stuff, man. Like, it goes a long way. Not just for that family, but for that organization. So I go back to, like, and you use the term, you know, grateful and talk about gratitude and stuff, because I don't think that's lost on you. And I think it can get lost on people. I mean, let's just be honest. There are guys that, you know, they've had high success their entire life and they get into pro hockey. And I think there's a lot of them that are like, yeah, like, I know I'm here. Like, I deserve to be here. And and you talk about different cultures and different teams, and you know, it's just you know, not to name guys, but there's people out there that are like that in all leagues and in all levels. But the fact that you have that, like, hey, every day, like, you strike me as someone where it's like every day it's a privilege, and
it is though, right? Like, that's the biggest thing is, like, I get to do something I love every day, and like, why would I be cocky about it? Or like, you just got to be grateful. Like, I get to wake up every day and go to work, but work is something that I would do for free. So like, you can't be, there's no bad days. I mean, obviously everyone has their own struggles, but of course, you always have to look at just taking everything that comes your way as something to, like, learn from and build off. And that's just the approach I try to take life with.
It's pretty awesome. It was also funny how Arlen was nervous trying to talk to you after the game. But she definitely liked your start to the game with the big scrap.
They said that. That honestly kind of got me with a lump in my throat when she was like, wasn't getting it out. She was like nervous to talk to me, and I was like trying to get it out of her. I didn't know what she was gonna say, and the mom's like, you know, she wants to fight like you did, and I was like, wow, like, that kind of hit home, and I was like, this is really emotional. It was obviously emotional for the family and stuff like that, but I'm happy that they came and showed their support, and obviously we're going to keep in touch and we'll get them back out for another game. So that's good. I mean, she's going to be here for, I actually think games 1 and 2 of the opening round. And this is going to drop the week leading into those games. Perfect, so, you know, hey, nothing wrong with having a little good luck charm going into the Kelly Cup playoffs. 100%. Yeah, we need it.
It'd be nice to have that. I mean, obviously, and I know the last pod we did, I guess a year ago now, like, it's nothing new, like you being around kids and stuff because of, like, the teaching background and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if I asked you this. Did you finish? Like, you finish your program, you get your degree and everything?
So I finished my business degree. Oh, I wouldn't have done it since I've been back. Yeah. So I did finish my degree. I was going into teachers college, but I couldn't defer that because of like hockey.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. That'll always be there. But I do have a degree now, so I graduated when I went home.
Did you? I'm trying to think. It would May 3rd was Game 7 for us last year. Did you get a chance to walk?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. When I got back, I believe it was like the first week I was back.
Yeah.
Something like the second week. Yeah. It was good. My family was there. My grandparents came, so it was nice to be with everybody, and good way to end off a season and head into summer, I guess.
Yeah, hey man, at the end of the day, at least you get to walk, right? Like,
no, it was cool. Obviously this year's totally different without having school and that grind. That was an intense season last year.
Yeah.
Coming from school with a bunch of essays due and crunch time, and
I still remember the Kalamazoo. We played a morning game in Kalamazoo. Bones got a shutout.
Yep.
And it's like an education game. And then we drove, I think, like 6 hours to Iowa. And like everybody's like trying to nap, whatever. And then you're over in your bunk just hammering out an essay.
Yeah.
You know?
Because I think we had, if I believe it, or if I'm saying it right, we had the day off the next day.
Yes.
And we were going to go out for dinner when we got to Iowa. And I was like, I got to make a sacrifice here either. I'm not going out with everyone, or I'm just grinding on the bus right now. So I was like, let's grind.
Yeah.
Those were the dog days of
the dog days of life.
Of life, yeah.
So when you're talking about like the teaching thing that you had to defer, two things. One, still your goal though, like after hockey, you want to be into teaching.
Yeah.
And then two, when you speak of deferring it, do you have to get another certificate or degree?
No. I was just going to stay at York just because I had, I believe, 3 more years of eligibility to play on the hockey team. So I was going to do my teaching degree at school while I was playing on the team.
Okay.
But then I ended up signing in Cincy, and everything kind of just unfolded like that. I don't really have to go to York for my teaching degree. I can go anywhere. There's a couple other schools that offer that program.
Okay.
But it's the same thing. It's a 2-year course, and I believe in the States it's 1. So who knows? I might end up just trying to do it somewhere in the States.
Yeah, it may not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
UC?
Actually, I looked into NKU.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
But the program was just really expensive. And back home, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it will apply back home.
It'd be kind of sick though, like to see you, like, I don't know why I just picture you with like glasses and like a polo and stuff, like going to class with like your binder in your hand, and then you get out and like zip down to the bank for practice.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that would have been cool. The biggest thing was like they were doing an online program, and that might have been why it was so expensive at NKU.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I consistently get phone calls now from the school trying to get me to apply.
Listen, I'm going to put words in her mouth, and I may get in trouble for this. There's a lady who, I don't know if she's interviewed you yet. Her name is Melanie Stambaugh, and she's a professor at NKU. So she got approved to do and by the way, a shout out to Melanie, who's also one of our season ticket holders. She's actually coming in today to interview Tim Murray and our graphic designer, Matt Shear. But so she's a professor. She got approved to do a 5-year research project on the Cyclones with so at some point you will be interviewed. It's about like hockey rituals, routines, norms, experience growing up in the game.
Yep.
And it's going to be like a published research project in 5 years from now. But because she's a professor there, I'm putting words in her mouth. I wonder, like, is there any sort of like...
We'll see if I get the interview.
Can we sleaze some scholarships?
That would be cool.
You know, like rights right-handed.
Yeah.
A couple $100 off of it.
The craziest thing is, like, back home, they have scholarships like that.
Yeah, they do here, too.
And it's like, you get a scholarship for, I don't even know. It's like, I think my sister got one. She goes to Ryerson, and it was Italian ethnicity.
Wow.
Yeah. And she got, like, I don't know how much it was, but, like, you apply for everything, and at York, what I did is I would just click on all of them, and you'd submit it, and if you're approved, like, they'd notify you. So I'd get scholarship money for stuff that I didn't even know I was applying for, and it's just, like, lack of people submitting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's note to self.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, we can put a feeler in and ask her, like, hey, what kind of loopholes do we have to jump through here?
We'll see.
You know?
That'd be cool.
That way you could kind of be in Cincy a little long term, year round, take some summer courses. Dude, you would love to be here all summer.
Yeah, I
Like-
love Cincy. I've got no complaints about anything here.
It's so nice. Go to Reds games every day?
Yeah.
Or would you not? Are you a baseball guy?
I like baseball. I'm a Jays fan, though.
Of course.
Obviously, being from Toronto.
Yeah,
I've gone to a couple Reds games. Honestly, nothing against the Reds, but like the atmosphere in Toronto is next to none. Like, it's crazy.
Think of the team's records, though.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, you know
Fair.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, Braden's been, I'll cue him in. I'll cue in the drop Ted set hamburglar over here. Sorry, McChicken burglar. But,
Man, I need to know what I did to you in a past life. Good Lord.
but you've been around enough. Like, I know the Reds have not been successful at all in your life for the most part, but there were years that they've been better. No, they made the playoffs, right?
Made the playoffs in 2010, 2012, 2013, I think, and then the COVID year they got in as the 7th seed, but they've only made the playoffs 16 times ever.
Do they ever have like a sellout, though?
That's what I was just about to ask. Like, how are their crowds?
A few years
for that?
ago, there was close to one, or I think it was upwards of 40K. We were playing the Padres. Tyler Stevenson hit a walk-off single, which was nice. It was the year Winker and Castellanos both made the All-Star game, so the team was actually good for the first time in a while. And
So hungry.
seriously,
That's
that environment was
killing me.
electric. It was awesome to be there for that game.
That's cool. I went to what was it? Wild card game 1.
With the Mariners and
Yeah,
the Jays?
yeah.
Ooh.
Before I came down with my buddy Mike. He's gonna love that shout out.
Yeah.
And my dad, Mike.
What's his last name?
My dad?
Mike.
No, I was joking. I want to see your reaction. Mike Rizza. Wide Mike. Yeah, so there's his shout out. We watched
Nice.
this pod before at my
Oh,
house
yeah?
one day. And he's like, dude, you got to give me a shout out. And I was like, all right, I'll throw one
Yeah.
in. So there it is. We went to that
Nice.
game, and that was insane. Like,
I
we
bet.
sat, I think we paid like $120 a ticket.
It's not bad for a wild card
Okay,
game.
but do you know where we were sitting? Like, at the top of the stadium. Like, there was nothing behind us, no seat.
Last row.
Last row.
Are you behind home plate, though?
Home plate. It was
It's still
so
a great view,
cool.
man.
It was
Especially
so
there,
cool.
a sellout like
Yeah,
that.
it was like actually insane. It was so loud, and I don't think the Jays scored a run. They got shut out, I believe.
There was one game between, maybe it would have been Seattle and Houston, because obviously the Mariners won that
Yeah.
series. There was one series or one game that went to like 17 innings last year.
That would have
Long time, yeah.
Was that against the Astros,
It
though?
was Mariners and Astros. It was
Okay.
in Seattle, I think. I think it was Pena hit a home run like the 17th or something. I don't know. It was ridiculous.
By the way, you might have to go back and do some more edits, because Yemmer saw it too. He caught wind of it. My stomach is just like growling.
I heard you talking
right
about
now.
it. You got that McChicken on the mind.
No,
so hungry.
absolutely not.
You're the one who keeps bringing it up.
I'm sorry.
What's
Well,
up?
I did work at McDonald's. That was my first job.
There you go.
Can you believe that? Talk about humble beginnings.
Sounds like
you
a
know?
fun time.
16. Yemmer, you were too good. You were too good for something like that.
I didn't have any fast food jobs. I did work a lot of different jobs, though.
What kind of jobs?
I worked at my grandfather's mechanic shop.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yemmer
gave
the
me
mechanic.
Honestly, it was a lot of like, what's the word?
White collar paperwork.
No. Are we cutting it?
You're
Are we gonna cut it?
no.
Well, like,
You don't know the word?
well, I do know the word, but like, I don't know the proper word to use.
Say the
on
word,
air.
and then we'll make the determination.
Oh yeah, you can use that. Why are you so worried about that?
I can bleep it at
Yeah,
least.
believe it. But like,
Okay.
I would just help out as much as I can. I would just like sweep the floors and do like little things like oil changes and stuff like that. So that was one job I had. Then I obviously would work at like hockey schools and stuff growing up, just because the connections, like,
Yeah, of course.
get on the ice. That's not even a real job though. Like,
I mean, it depends.
shooting up pucks on goalies, like, love that. I'd be like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd go out, make like $20 an hour.
You ever
Like,
ref any men's leagues games?
No, didn't
I
do
love
the
doing
reffing.
that. It's such a good way to make money quick.
Then last year, I was working for Desjardins Insurance.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
different.
Yeah.
What were you doing? Selling insurance?
No, I was a P0, so like I worked with like claims, so property, auto.
So like, you're talking to people over the phone, like helping
so
file claims
call
and
center,
stuff?
they would call in, and I'd set up claims and then pass it on to like a P1 or P2.
It's
and
interesting.
They would take over that. I really liked that, and I was doing well with it. I was thinking about getting my insurance license, and
Yeah.
then I was also teaching at the time with the supply teaching. So my days were nuts.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're working a ton there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like in my head, it just seems like it'd be funny if like I had something come up and like I would call and be like, "Auto claims, this is Brandon."
That was it. It was. I had to be like, it would be like call and be like, Desjardins, Brandon speaking. How can I assist you? And then they'd be like,
Did you say it all shy like that, or were you like,
no,
"Oh,
like, I was more hype with it, but I'm getting nervous with you now."
like,
but
dude, why?"
no, I would do that, and then so my days were crazy. I'd wake up in the morning, go teach half day, go to the rink for a lift, practice, get home, log on from my basement, and I would start working the night shift for insurance, and then I would be doing homework if the calls weren't coming through.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a grind.
I do like that about you, though. Again, I think that comes back to the whole gratitude thing. Is like you're more than a guy who just like comes to a rink, shows up, plays hockey, and leaves. Like,
Yeah.
you've had to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, which
You know?
I liked it. I mean, at
Yeah.
the same time, I was making pretty good money too, so it was nice.
Yeah.
It's not like I was doing it for free. That would have really sucked.
This, yeah.
Having full day of work and not make anything.
Intern work sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Shots.
Sorry. Get
No
that?
comment.
No comment. Speaking of hockey, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, and I did not look at your stuff. What are you guys laughing about?
Nothing.
What are you guys? You're ruining my episode right now. You're ruining Brandon's episode.
It's our episode.
It's our episode. I like that. Yeah, good guy, teammate. I don't remember asking you about this last year, and I have not looked at your elite prospects page in like months, because when you came back, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember. Like, just type in it was at North York and whatever.
Yeah.
But you played in the Federal League, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. I don't think we've ever talked about this. How did that happen? Like your resume is like, okay, it was like, cause you were an OJ kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you had an all-star year, which was
Yeah.
great. And then North York or York University. No, North York and the OJ.
Okay, so this is where it gets crazy. I
Okay.
was 18. I wasn't even 19 yet. We weren't making playoffs with Mississauga.
Okay.
The GM there, his son coached in the Federal League.
What team was it?
Danville Dashers.
The Dashers,
Yeah.
baby.
So he's like, hey, like, we got like 3 weeks left in the season. Do you want to come play? And I was like, I don't really know.
Oh man.
And then basically I was like, my parents like, why don't you go? My biggest concern is like, I started talking to schools then.
Yeah.
I haven't played my 20-year-old yet. So I was like, what do I do? Like, am I going to lose my scholarship from playing in the O? Like, what's the plan here?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, like you have a time to go play and it doesn't affect anything. So once I got that confirmation, I was like, I'll go play hockey for a couple weeks. Like, what's the big deal here?
Yeah.
And yeah, that was.
Can't believe we haven't talked about this. So I know it was David S. Palmer Arena.
Yep.
That is the name of the arena. A
Yep.
very small rinky-dink little thing.
Yep.
In Danville, Illinois. So I think you played what, 4 or 5 games?
No, 13 or
13?
13 games. Yeah.
It's like this guy was a prospect at 18.
Yeah.
Playing in the Fed.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, as a guy who I worked in the SPHL, which is a step above the Fed, but I mean, it's, it's grungy. I liked my time there. Great people.
Yeah.
But the Federal League is kind of fun to talk about.
It was crazy.
What was are you willing to tell us this? Because I'm pretty sure I know the number and I think it's ridiculously low. What was your salary?
I don't even remember. I think it was like 100 and something a week.
A week.
Yeah.
Probably 125, I think. I think that would have been rookie, or 150.
I think it was 147. I was going to say 147. For some reason, that's sticking in my head.
Is that taxed
Yeah.
still?
Yeah.
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 Where are you guys living?
We were living in like apartment complex.
Okay.
I shared a room with another player. So it was like 2 beds in a room.
Dorm style.
We made it work. Like, it was fun.
Yeah.
That was my first time living away from home. So that was like good for me to like adjust.
Yeah, sure.
Once again, just like taking everything and just like using it as like a life lesson. Like,
What was your life lesson there? I'm not coming back to the Federal League.
yeah, like once again, like I got to play extra hockey. So like, yeah, I was grateful for it. And like, obviously the opportunity to go down there, like Brent didn't have to give me a call and say, do you want to come play? But that was something I was like, I've done it. I do not want to come back. I don't want to, like, that was it. And I'm like, I want to go to school. So that was another deciding factor on like me going to school.
Yeah.
I ended up playing another year in the OJ because I still had another year left. So
Yeah.
I came back to junior. So I was playing with men, and like that league is tough. Like there are legitimate like specimen in that league. Like they're just there trying to kill you every shift.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
And, I had like a couple fights, and like I was doing well, and I was like, all right, like I'm going back to play junior now, and like this is my game. Like when I went back, I had so much confidence. I had like another swagger to my game. Like it just honestly helped my hockey game.
And that was the All-Star season, right?
Yeah, that was like I had my best year yet.
Yeah.
Because I played against men. Like I was going back to play against like 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
Because I was a 20 bomb, and it was like
A 20 bomb.
I was like, this is nuts. Like
That's
I liked it.
Well, it's funny you say that because like so talk about that when people say that, and I've heard coaches mention that with rookies is that they go from being a kid playing with classmates or kids at another school to playing against men. You know, even though the now FPHL, I don't know if it was called just the FHL when you were there.
When I was there, yeah.
So now it's the technical term is the Federal Prospects Hockey League. People look at that and they're like, it's such a low level of hockey. There are still players that, like, by definition are talented hockey players at that level. Like for you talk about playing with men. Like there was an adjustment period, I imagine, for you.
Oh, 100%. My biggest thing was like these guys, that's their job, and that was my first, I guess, taste of work being hockey.
Yeah.
And they would do anything they had to do to keep that position because there's always someone wanting to take it from you. And that's what I learned from that is like no matter what level you're playing, there's always going to be someone who wants your life and wants what you're doing. So that was cool.
Yeah.
The travel was insane. Like, it was actually crazy.
Okay, what are some of the teams you went to then? How'd that work?
I remember one road trip. We played in Danville that night. We were leaving after the game, kind of like we do here, whatever. Like, didn't really know anything of it.
Yeah.
Our bus broke down in the 3 weeks I was there. I think I didn't go on a bus maybe once, and it broke down. The rest was like vans, and we were all crammed in the van. And me being a legit kid, I was like in the middle seat with like two guys on each side, so I would have to sleep like sitting up, and then there'd be guys like laying on the floor and stuff like that
Of a van,
and players would drive, so like the older guys would drive and take turns.
What'd the coach do?
The coach would drive. There's different vans because you can only take so many and you had to bring your gear and stuff like that. So one of those travels, it was from Danville. We were going to Watertown.
Yeah, in New York.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that was pretty far, and it was like, or maybe it wasn't New York. Oh, it was South Carolina.
They did have a team for a little bit. I think they actually are getting another team. I think now they're getting another.
Or North Carolina, whatever.
North
it was.
Carolina Thunderbirds. Yeah.
Whatever it was like we ended up, because of the travel and it was all messed up with the bus and the vans. We got there, went to the hotel, slept for like an hour and a half, 2 hours max, and then had to go to the rink and play. And me being in the middle seat, like I didn't sleep.
Did you guys lose?
I don't really remember.
It's got to be a hard game to win.
I don't remember what happened, but like it was crazy. I was like talking to my parents, like, "Oh, like, how you feeling?" I'm like, "I'm like just going off adrenaline right now. This is insane."
That is it. I mean, I'm not like, actually, I am still surprised. That is crazy because the vans.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have told me, like, hey, we had to go 12 hours on like a coach bus.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, yeah, I mean, that's terrible.
Tough,
like, I've seen it. I've seen it done, you know, but.
The vans was different.
You could argue, and you can relate to this because I remember last year talking about you fighting literally to stay in the lineup here.
Yeah.
So I think you can relate to when you mentioned getting there for the first time and seeing for the first time ever what it was like for a player to get a check and actually have this be their job. Mm-hmm. You could probably argue there it's more desperate than anywhere else because realistically, like, not that you would have wanted to do it, but like you were released from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
We didn't even claim you off waivers. You cleared waivers.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, an SP team could have picked you up. If you get released from the FPHL, there's really no other paid league to go to. No. You're not going to get released and called up to a league.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like if
agreed.
you're not good enough to make it there, like you're done playing professional hockey. So that's where I think you could argue those are the most desperate guys that really will
100%.
do anything.
And the craziest thing is like, I won't say names obviously, but we had a guy on our team that was released off a contract when I came down in Danville, and he was like on a PTO because I think that's how they do it there. So if he played, it was like, don't quote me, I think $25
Oh,
for the game if he played, but he was still living with the team, and he was getting scratched a lot on that PTO because I was down there and I was playing.
oh, that's got to be an awkward feeling.
And I was like, I felt so bad. Like,
Yeah.
you're not making a lot of money to begin with being down there, and now it's like you're only getting paid if you're in the lineup.
Yeah.
So
That is,
yeah, don't quote me on all that, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it was going, and I felt horrible. But at the same time, I was like, I got to do what I can to not be in that position.
it's a business.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what we learn, and I think we'll get close to wrapping this up here because I know I'm starving. I'm
Yeah,
like
I'm so hungry.
I'm anticipating my stomach to growl again,
Yeah.
and I know you probably the same. So, to kind of bring it full circle though, like it's a business.
Yeah.
Everything that happened this year to you were business decisions.
Yep.
Here, Florida, Jacksonville. And I know you've said it a lot. Hey, grateful and happy to be back. Happy to be back. From this year to last year, is it better? Obviously, the team record is better. Is it the same? Is it better? And you're probably not going to say it's worse because nobody.
In what sense? Like the team itself,
Yeah,
or
no,
like
you're just like overall, like the environment here. Like I said, I mean, you coming back, I think, is an uplift for everybody in that room
Yeah.
to see you and to have that smile and to have those laughs. But for you yourself, like every day you wake up, you're back in Cincinnati. You're back at, Heritage Bank Center, and now you're with a team that last year was trying to barely get in. And I think we knew. I'm sorry, like I think we knew when we were going to play first place Toledo, like this is going to be an uphill battle.
yeah. And then like it says a lot too about what we had last year too, just because we took them to 7.
Yeah.
And we could have won that series.
Yeah, we could have.
With a couple extra bounces. But I think the difference this year is, I don't know. I feel like we're not just trying to get by, if that makes any sense. Like last
Yeah.
year, we were just trying to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year, it's like, nah, like we know what we want, and we've had the same goal from the start of the season. Like
Yeah.
you ask the guys who've been here all year what the goal was from the day one of training camp to now, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And everyone's on board with that, and that's where it's something special, and everyone knows what they have to do in order for that to be achieved.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just, like, you just got to know what's needed from you and make sure you bring that every single night. And Painter obviously attests to that and speaks about that all the time in the room, is just knowing your role and knowing what it's going to take. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing I would say. So better in a sense, not to say last year was bad, but I would say it is a better way to approach it this year going into playoffs.
Yeah. I agree.
Right?
I'll tell you this. Oh, we have a question. We have a question from the committee.
Got to do this for the fans because I think they need to hear the perspective on the. I'm gonna put an asterisk by double knockout, but I don't think we've had a long conversation about this. I know I talked
Dude,
with
we're
Brandon
missing
shortly after it.
Yeah, sorry, man.
But
You're going to have to be here
since
for another
then,
30 minutes.
I think the fans deserve to get that inside perspective here.
Yeah, so obviously with that whole double knockout,
Wait, pause. Can we backfill this? Just in case, because it's on. Are you going to put this on the B-roll for YouTube?
Probably.
Okay, perfect. So, Andrew Ballant, Brandon Yeamans fight in November. You guys are absolutely, at least from my perspective, rocking each other.
Yeah.
And it went on Spit and Chicklets and it went everywhere. I mean, how did you? So go ahead. I'm sorry. I want to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about, because if I just say, "Hey, that fight," you've had a lot of those.
I've had a couple. Yeah, so I already fought that game earlier on, and then Matt Cairns got hit weird. It was a bit of a dirty hit, and I saw Viver get on the ice and start yelling at their coach to keep Belland on the ice. I was like, all right. I just hop the bench. I look over, Codes hops the bench, Arv hops the bench, and Allen hops the bench. And I was like, all right, who wants it? Like, we're looking around like we got all our guys that are willing to go on the ice right now. What's going on? And I just like, I don't know what happened, but I just pulled myself into it. And I was like, hey, we're going. You're not going to fight Viber. Like, I wasn't going to make Viber fight him. I'm like, we're going. And he just looked at me. He's like, sure. I was like, okay. So
that was kind of you, by the way, because let's point out like the size disadvantage he's at if he's fighting Viber,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're like, hey, I'll give you a fair match.
At the end of the day, it's Viber. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like he's done that enough for the team. Like, I'm still a younger guy. Like, I can take that on. It's not a big deal. And I'm sure Sean would have done the same. Like, everyone on the ice was willing to go, and that's why they got on the ice.
Yeah.
The craziest part is, like, the boys can attest to it. They were like, is this going to be a 5-on-5 line brawl? Like, I think Indy thought it was too, because who we threw out there.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we got some guys out here that are all willing. So basically pick your poison. And then we just kind of squared up and just started swinging for the fences. He did catch me with one, like, cut my under my nose or my lip. And that when, like, it hit me, like, we both fell and obviously fell over. Mm-hmm. I was never knocked out. The ref and the video, like, kind of held me down because I was bleeding. And then I got up. I was fine. I mean, we both came back to the game.
Right.
So, like...
Is it fair to say, do you know if he was knocked out?
I don't know. I can't say. Okay. It's just the way he fell backwards, I fell forwards.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good fight.
So the one he clips you that, like you said, so your mouth was bleeding.
Yeah.
I think his nose was bleeding.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. But here's a good perspective on a fight. So if you watch it back, and again, we should have this up on YouTube, it literally doesn't stop.
No.
Like, you two, when you fought, it was nonstop, like...
And they were all connecting. Like,
That's what I was just about to ask you. Like, are you feeling every single one of those punches? Like, because, you know, some of your fights, like, you get the better end of a guy.
Yeah.
Some of them, they're trying to short jab you, like, if they got their hand around, like, the collar of the jersey.
You don't really feel those.
Or, like, if a guy punches you, but, like, they're hitting your helmet. Like, I'm sure you've done that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've had...
Yeah.
That has to suck.
The hitting the helmet, you just feel it in your hand. Like, your adrenaline's taking over, too.
Of course.
Like... you don't really feel it until the next day or like later, but when you hit a helmet, you know you hit a helmet because you feel it right away in your knuckles. When you're hitting a guy, like, you feel you're connecting. And that one there, it was like we were just both connecting. Like, it wasn't even that long of a fight because everything was like hard and landing. I was just like, wow. Like, after it was all done and I watched it, I didn't even know he fell backwards. Like, when I fell and the ref, like, kind of pinned me, I was, like, trying to get up. I'm good. I got up, and I knew I was bleeding because I felt, like, the hot coming down. So I was like, okay, I'm cut. So I was just going to the room, but I didn't know that, like, I knocked him out, too.
Yeah.
So I was like,
awesome.
I was like, yeah, like, I got my bell rung, and, like, I've had that happen in a fight before. But for us to, like, when I watched it back after, I was like, holy crap. Like, we both dropped. And, like, it was viral, and some of the comments I was reading were hilarious because, like, we were two smaller guys going at it. So I was like, this is just funny. And then I started getting, like, tags from Spit and Chicklets and ESPN, and then, like, at one point it was up to, like, 5 million views, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is really blowing up.
I think you were on the radio with Kid Chris the one morning here in Cincinnati. He's, like, one of the biggest names in radio here. Asking you about that.
About the fight, and, like, to each their own, but, like, it was a good fight. I wouldn't be, like, that was crazy. Tough kid.
Always wonder when you have those fights, like, so again, you, Andrew Ballant, you, like, either of you connect with each other at all after the fight?
No.
Okay, so no communication.
It would have just, when we got back on the ice after that game, we just lined up beside each other, and I kind of looked over at him, and, like, his nose was split, and he already started having black eyes, and I was like,
you want to go again?
No, I was like, good fight. He was like, yeah, you too. And then that was it. Like,
okay.
We played them the other night.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, if warm-ups.
Didn't say anything.
No. It's interesting.
Just, I know. I mean, it happens sometimes. Like, you'll have a fight against the guy, and like you'll say something to them.
Well, like, especially with it going viral, I was wondering if maybe one of you would have been able, or like decided to reach out to the other and like, hey man, it's pretty crazy.
It
like,
was crazy, and like no bad blood between us. I don't think. Like,
I'm sure he thought it was cool that it was going everywhere, right?
It was cool.
Like, man,
I don't know, crazy though.
Is that your favorite fight of all time for you?
Yeah.
I say all time. I mean,
Oh, like my favorite pro fight.
Yeah.
Probably. I would say that one was pretty good. I like the Coney Dog Night one.
oh yeah,
That one
last
was,
year
that
against
one was
Wheel.
fun. That was a long fight though.
Yeah.
That's why I like that one a bit better.
Who was that? Who did you fight?
Sean Joslin.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I honestly, that fight the other night was pretty fun.
Yeah, you really got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was that for Kazu? Fedoric.
Yeah.
Fedoric. We actually
You called it wrong.
yes, because so we get the lineup sheet. Not trying to stop laughing at me. All right, you're ruining my episode. You're ruining our episode.
See how he said my?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
gotta
said
stop
R. I
this.
corrected him when he said it was my episode. I'm like, R? He said you're ruining my episode.
I need to work on this.
He's just retarding me on it.
Yeah.
You started it.
Well, to be fair, and I will happily put a screenshot in this. Is this not trying to bury anybody else? Chris is a great guy in Kalamazoo, but the lineup did not have Connor Fedoric in the lineup.
I will confirm that because I looked after and it wasn't
Thank you.
there.
So
Yep.
I can also
Thank you.
attest as
Yeah.
the person there who was like, "What the heck is happening?"
Yeah. So
fair.
I saw an 8 and I knew there were 2 digits. So I'm like, that's Goslin. And then he tumbled down. And because you hear in the call, I referenced Kurt Goslin once and then I stopped. So when you took the guy to the ground, I said, and he takes his man to the ground.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who is that? Because it's not Goslin. And then I'm looking up and down the lineup and I'm like, he's not on here. And then I looked at the media kits and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, you just ruined my fight call. You know?
No, it's okay. That was that happened quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quick, and you were. Hey, you know what I got right?
What?
I got the guy who won.
Yeah, fair.
You know?
Fair. You got that one right.
Yemmer, we were actually going to be done doing player interviews, and then you got signed, and I said, "Hold on, there's one more."
There's one more.
Yeah.
We had to run it back. We talked about it.
Yeah. So thanks for taking the time, man.
problem.
I appreciate
Thank
it
you.
as always. So happy to have you back here.
Thanks. I'm happy to be back.